What's happening? Andy here. I am joined today by Ed Mclaughlin. Ed is with Predictive InSight, and Ed is a legend in this industry. You may remember him from his days back at Sharp, president and CEO of Sharp Electronics. I believe he did a stint before that with Ricoh. You were a senior executive with them. So
yes.
long standing in this industry. I think there's probably very few people who don't know you by now, but good to see you. How are you today, Ed?
I'm doing great. Couldn't be better. Couldn't be better.
Good to see you. I always knew you were in Philly, but last time I talked to you, it seems that you've headed south. So,
well,
you gave up
the sunshine outside. I'm now in Charlotte, North Carolina, and sitting here on TPC Piper Glen, and we get done with this. I might not get out today, but I will definitely be out tomorrow.
Very nice, very nice. Well, it's definitely warming up here in Rochester. We're able to finally get out. I was actually out in shorts. It probably shouldn't have been, but I was played around in shorts the other day. So we're getting there up here.
It's a balmy 80 degrees here, so
it's not quite that warm here, but it's in the 60s. We're getting there. But how are things down there? We're kind of opening up here. Everyone's got their vaccine. I got mine. Most people that want it have been able to access it at this point.
Yeah.
How are things down where you are?
I mean, anybody that wants it, I think at this point in time has got the vaccine. I've got both my shots. We're not as completely open as, say, like Florida or Texas or places like that, but not as shut down as New York and New Jersey either. So we get around. There are limitations in some of the eateries and so forth. They don't take a full menu, and I get ticked off because I have to make reservations at the club instead of just actually going. But we're coming to an end of that. I mean, and people know me anyway, so I just show up anyhow. I
believe it. I don't think anyone's going to turn you down as far
as they will. Sure they will.
Getting a table. Yeah, I mean, we're getting there up here. It's the same. The restaurants are opening up, and we do still have to do the reservation thing, which I kind of prefer. I'm liking it. It's I show up, they have my table, I leave. I don't have to wait. So anyway, let's talk about where I've seen you. I just saw you at BTA down in Orlando. I was in Charleston right after that for an SDG meeting. So things are happening. We're getting back at it. And what did you think of the meeting down there?
I thought it was good. I mean, I thought some of the regulations from Disney were a little overblown, let's say. I mean, making the speakers wear masks.
It was a little much.
A little ridiculous. When if you left Disney property, you didn't even have to wear the mask.
Yeah.
But in any event, it was really great to see people again, to press the flesh and chat and talk with everybody. It was great to do, and we're going to come back to that. I mean, this thing's going to be behind us pretty soon. One of the things that the last year has done, though, it's really thrown us and accelerated us into a whole new approach and a way of doing business. I was just talking earlier today, the business model that was put together by Tom Johnson and many of the people that he worked with and around back in the 80s has been steadfast for decades, and it's made modifications from time to time. The fact of the matter is, it's toast. This whole world going forward is so completely different. The way that we have to go about things and think of things, and the way the metrics are going to come together, and what we expect of the different departments. If we haven't seen a change in the guidelines, the realities of what we have to measure to are different completely. BPIs are different than they used to be. The number of people to ratios to usage and things like that, it's completely upside down. And paper all the talk about paper going away is borderline silliness. It isn't going to go away. It changed importance, and it changed its destination. It changed from being part of a process to being something that you need to finish the things you do personally. And its destination is either to a trash bin or a shredder. It's not for the most part, it's not part of communicating to the customer anymore. That's all done through electronics and PDFs and many other file formats. And we've reached a point where digitalization is the way it is. And if you're not digitalized and you're not even thinking about digitalization, is crazy. And then we have this type of face-to-face meeting, which I, I have to honestly say, I both like it and hate it. Some days we'll start with demonstrations, and we include people from around the world, and we'll start 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. My partner's on the West Coast, Mountain Time, and my other partners are in Europe. So people are working all kinds of hours throughout the day, trying to pull things together and have these demonstrations. And sometimes, like I said, it starts at 9. I might be done at 8. So it can be long days, and getting your butt sitting here in a chair in front of a screen is not exactly the same warmness as it is when you're face to face and pressing the flesh and having something to eat. But it's the second best thing. It's better than a phone call.
Yeah.
And it certainly is productive in getting some of the things done, so that the face-to-face meetings I see going forward will be that much more productive than they were in the past.
Well, I agree. And you could feel how happy everyone was to be back. Just everyone out at dinners and just it is funny you said that about Disney, because it was the strictest I've seen it anywhere. I mean, including up here in New York. But like you said, as soon as you got off campus, it was a different world down there. And it was nice. It was nice being down there. I have to say, I was a little intimidated by it at first, but by the time I left, I didn't want to come back to this. So, here we are, we're at this point now, and people are itching to get out. People are itching to go to meetings. I've got, a pretty full slate coming up, at least one every month coming up for the next foreseeable future, where I'm going to be all over the place. And, people we're a social industry. People, they sell by getting in front of people and going out for, a dinner or drinks or whatnot. So, that was missing for the last year. And then just the thought that, people are just dying to get out. I mean, we've got this road family that you all of a sudden got cut off from, that we would see each other every week, every month at the very least. And all of a sudden it's just gone, and I didn't see anybody for a year. So it was last month was just really nice, being back to BTA, FDG, all that. And I've got another one coming up actually with the Consortium, and that's the call you referred to earlier. Maybe we could give a little plug for that, and we could talk about that for a second. But there's an American co-op meeting in Arizona that we'll be doing a panel on. So, but the Consortium. So this is a group, and then we'll get to what we actually brought you on to talk about, which is
let's talk about it. It's all important. I mean, absolutely. I mean, the consortium was a great idea. It was Mike's initial idea to bring people together, like-minded, that are focused on bringing high-quality products to make a difference in the dealer community and actually help restart and do things better than we've been doing them before. And it's a really great group of people. I mean, we get together at least once a month and really starting to put things together in terms of having the executive conference come back to life. And
wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
I think it is. I mean, I don't know if everybody agrees with me, but I think most people would agree with me. It was one of the best events in the industry.
I agree with you. It was.
Yeah, I think most people do.
It was very good because it was just, it was one of the few that it was not, it was supported by everybody. You'd have the senior people from the biggest competitors on stage doing panels together, and
you saw
really
different
points of view.
Yeah, you saw different points of view on the same stage together, where it wasn't there may be some canned presentations in there, of course, because everybody has a point.
We got to pay for
the
cocktail,
but you got the other can right afterwards, and it really gave you a chance to think about the options that were available to you. And it was industry specific, but it wasn't down one single path. It really tried to get people focused on what's available and what's out there and what are some of the options that they've got.
I loved it. It was just a great networking event. You met a ton of people from a ton of different companies, and just having everyone in one place. And that, again, that's one of the strengths of our industry, right? We're just very social. I love this consortium that Mike's bringing together. He's got a lot of really good people, a lot of good companies in it, a lot of synergy between them. It seemed like it's starting to
a lot of new faces too.
Yeah,
A lot of
and,
new
and a
faces.
lot of people that seem like they want to do a lot a lot with the dealers. So it's going to be fun to be a part of that, and we'll have to watch that going forward, and you know, enjoy the ride. It's always fun when you get into one of Mike's programs. But you now are working on, it's called Predictive InSight LLC.
Mhm,
You're a founding
mhm.
member. Tell us about that. That's your latest thing. You know, you probably should have retired about 4 jobs ago, but you're still showing up at everything, and
I I'm
you
on
still do your
I'm
thing.
on God's retirement program. He'll decide when I'm going to stop.
I hear you.
If I
I
start
love it.
talking to you and slobbering down all over myself and I don't make any sense, I'm going to go away,
As long as people
or
keep
I
buying
fall
me
off the
drinks, I'm
chair.
showing up, right?
As long as I'm making any sense at all, I'm showing up.
Well, you're making a
And I'm
lot of
learning.
sense with this stuff. So tell us about Predictive Insight. What do
Well,
you do, and how does it work
that
for
was a
dealers?
learning experience in itself, just even running into it. I was doing some things at the time with BEI, with Nextera and West, and we were looking at a lot of different technologies at the time and where things measured up, or maybe even married up with him. And when I saw what EKM was doing with their DCA and how they were solving business problems and fleet management problems, I said, this is exactly what I've been looking for a number of years. And they weren't even in the US at that particular point in time. So Colin Bosher and I had a number of different conversations, and I wanted Wes to get involved and buy it, and he wasn't thinking that way. So that was fine. And he wanted to stay focused on what he was doing. And I said, you know what? That's a great idea, because you still have things you need to do with what you're doing, but we'll stay friends and we'll stay this. But I like this, and I think this can make a big difference in the dealer community. And so I took the money out of my pocket and said, let's capitalize the company. And when I pushed Colin, he said, well, I already have a guy that I'm trying to work with now. And I said, well, he didn't want to tell me who he was, and apparently he was telling the other guy, and he didn't want to tell him who I was. And then finally he told me, well, it's Sean Cashmark, and he told Sean it's Ed Mclaughlin. And we both went, what the hell? Let's get together. We know each other. Let's
Yeah,
make this thing work. So I was talking to Colin at the time when he'd said, I said, well, let's stop wasting time. We'll bring him into the meeting. And so we called him up and brought him into the meeting. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, we had Predictive InSight was formed, and we started a company, capitalized it, and got started. And Sean's been involved with them for a number of years and has done remarkable things in getting that product Americanized. By that, I mean just little things like language and processes and backup processes and ways that we go about doing things that are different in the US than they are in Europe, and to make it compatible, or try to make it integratable in any way we can with the products that are being heavily utilized here in the United States. So we did our own integration into ECI, and worked with Forza, so that Forza has integrated using our APIs to do more with that product also. But Predictive InSight is the product. It's made by EKM. We have the North American marketing rights for that. And InSight was built on the concept of managing the fleet. While many of the other DCAs, which are built on a .NET framework, were built with the concept in mind of electronically getting meter readings. Because back at the turn of the century in 2000, we were collecting meters in all sorts of oddball ways. We were looking for these RF devices to go out, they would fall off, wouldn't get the meters. And if you got 95% of your meters in a month, you were a superstar. But everybody realized that this is just not doable. So the DCAs came about, and they answered a big problem because they really improved the efficiency at the time. But InSight was not built that way. InSight was built to manage an enterprise fleet. And before they wrote a line of code, they did everything manually. And at the time, Colin and his partner, Ian McRae, were managing large installations for large enterprise organizations. Deloitte Touche was one of them. I do remember that. And I'm not giving any bunch of plugs. And there was a number. One of them was Buckingham Palace. But they were they were trying to manage all these devices. In some cases, it was thousands of devices, but they wanted to manage it the same way they were managing the other assets that were in there, which were IT assets. So this is built the same way people manage IT assets. And we want to see movement, where things move, where they go. And it was built around all the points of management so that it's be done and automated. The software does the heavy lifting. All the algorithms are solidly written, and they're written in a way that they're not going to be interfered with. We use point of presence to transfer data. And if people aren't familiar with point of presence,
you explained that to me earlier, and I wasn't aware of that. Just the security.
it's a technology. A lot of the military uses this technology a lot. Instead of sending something over a data port, I mean, it's a data port, but it's a high-level data port, 5222. And in order for point of presence really to work, we have to have recognition on one end and recognition on the other end. So we get authorization on both sides. Once the data starts to transmit, even if all the power went out, if the network went down, the computers all blew up, the data sitting out there in this environment, the minute everything's reconstructed, the power's back on, the network's back on, the data comes through. We have 100% data capture, bar none. It never gets lost, because no matter what happens, it's going to come through because of that particular fact alone. That by itself solves a boatload of problems for dealers, because data loss is common in almost all the other DCAs, and there is nobody else that uses point of presence technology besides EKM and Predictive InSight. That's it. The other thing that we do differently is that we manage assets. We can tell you when something moved, where it moved, and give you the new IP address. If it's a new MAC address, we can give you the new MAC address. We tell you exactly what's going on, and there's a report inside that you can draw from movements. Supply and consumable management is second to none. And in fact, in some instances, in Europe, it's automatically integrated into the ERPs. Today, we're not completely there in the United States, but within the next 6 months, we will actually be able to take, regardless of the operating system that you're utilizing. In other words, whether it's Forza or Microsoft Dynamics, or whether it's ECI, we'll be able to place orders directly into the system. So there's complete automation of the process is capable. And what we've done is we've created an environment that's can do the heavy lifting. When they set out to do this, they looked at how many people could manage how many devices. And they had a target in mind that they wanted to be able to manage 8,000 to 10,000 devices per person at the desk. The very best you can do in any of the existing environments is probably about 3,000 to 4,000. So we're double to triple the productivity that you would get out of somebody else. And in all honesty, as we're looking at these new models, we're looking at the way we're going to conduct business. The efficiency of our back office, making our back office more effective and efficient, is critical, making their job easier. We have to be able to bring more base into the existing infrastructure, not add more infrastructure in just because we picked up more base. And if we can't get to there, we're not going to find a way to be profitable. So we're providing tools that will enable them to do that.
I would think just that whole piece that you mentioned, where you're able to track the assets by IP address, and now, with companies with their employees being remote, in some cases the entire company is remote. You have to think that printers have gone home, scanners have gone home. Tracking this, I think, for a lot of companies is now going to be a challenge if it already isn't, right? So that kind of plays into it. As far as a dealer working with you and working with this, how do they integrate this into their program? How do they start? How do they get that going?
What we do is, once there's an agreement, we usually provide a sandbox, let them get familiar with it and train them. And our training and support, I always felt it was good, but everybody tells us it's second to none. I mean, we are out there in terms of support. We measure our support in hours, not weeks and days and weeks. So not to throw any stones at anybody else, but that's what I hear.
That's
I
what
don't know.
stones
I
are
don't
for.
hear
That's what stones are for. And you do all the coding yourself, huh? All the coding, you do it all.
everything that we do not outsource any coding at all. It's all done through EKM's employees, including database management, security, everything. There's absolutely no code written by anybody else. Our codes and algorithms are written to an SHA micro, actually the same standard of encryption that is used for cryptocurrencies. So it's rock solid secure. You're not breaking into the algorithms. They're SHA 256 cryptographic capability.
Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like you got a lot going on with this new endeavor, and I'm going to put some information, a link where they can get in touch with you. After they read the video, I'll put it below the video. So that's all I wanted to find out, I guess, about the company. And then I guess let's leave on the last note. We're a quarter of the way through 2021. How's it going? Is it going the way you thought it would go? And what do you foresee for the rest of 2021?
It's I couldn't be happier with the progress that we're making. We only got started in June of 2020, and we're making a difference, a significant difference. We're in the process of a very large installation right now. I've agreed with the principal of this company not to mention them at this point in time until we get it done, because there's some feelings along the way that might get hurt, but it's significant. And we're helping them map their databases and get things straight and clean, actually helping them clean the database up at the same time. So, we have all our engineers involved in getting and helping them get it up. It's a massive undertaking, but we will be I believe that at the end of 2021, we're going to be a significant player in this space. We won't be number one, but that would be totally unrealistic. But we will be top of mind, and people will be thinking about, because we're going to solve problems that people, they knew they had, but they didn't even know there were answers for. And we've only touched the tip of the iceberg today. But we're there to fix the problems and make the back office that much more efficient. And predictive maintenance, by the way. We can convince a couple more manufacturers to come on board with us. I mean, today we do predictive maintenance through HP for the SDS, remote fixes and everything else. We could do a single point for every manufacturer. And in all honesty, the best plug for manufacturer is to let somebody else that's an expert in an area do that work for you, and you focus on the things that you can do instead of wasting money trying to do technologies that aren't going to put money in your pocket. And we can help them put more money in their pocket and do it for less and better than they can do it, because we have access to private MIBs that they would be breaking the law if they had access to those private MIBs. So we can make things a lot easier for them.
Yep. That's always the case. Sometimes it's tough for the OEMs to give up some domain, but at the end of the day,
this couldn't be a better time.
Small and nimble is gets the job done a little bit easier sometimes. So
the timing is perfect for them to come to the realization that partnering makes more sense than control.
Yeah, I agree. Ed Mclaughlin, always great to see you. I look forward to hopefully running into you at one of the shows down the road, maybe BTA in the fall, if not sooner. I think August.
We'll see you at the next BTA. And if there's an event going on, I'll probably, even if I'm not invited, I might stick my head around the corner.
There you go. Why wouldn't you? Ed Mclaughlin, great talking to you. You have a great rest of your week, and have a great weekend. Good seeing you. Take care.
Bye. Have a good one.